Hello everybody, thank you for joining me. You're live here with Jenfie-Lou from Stampin' Up. I just want to wait just a few minutes just to make sure we've got everybody. Hi Kathy, thanks for joining me. Hope you're well. Hi Simon, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Thank you for joining me. So if you've been a follower to my page, you'll have seen over the past few days I've shared some pictures of some cards that I've made using the Animal Outing stamp set. I do absolutely adore this stamp set. As soon as we got it, it was a definite must-have. So I actually managed to get some time to play with it the other day, and I thought it would make a perfect card for one of my colleagues who was leaving work, moving on to a new job. Also great for a sort of baby card or a toddler card. I made a birthday card for my nephew's first birthday using this set, using the same technique that I'll be showing you tonight. Both cards that I made, so a leaving card for an adult and a 1-year-old's first birthday card, both using the exact same layout, the exact same stamp set. It's not, you know, it's wonderful for all ages. Great for kids, great for adults alike, especially if you're an animal lover. Hi Angie, hi Mark, thanks for joining us. Okay, so we've got a few people here now, so I'm going to get started. So what I'm using is, as I said, the Animal Outing stamp set, and also the colours that I'll be using for the background will be Balmy Blue for the sky, which is one of our brand new colours, and also Soft Sea Foam, which is also one of our new colours, and that will be the grass. I decided that one was a little bit of a softer look for the landscape behind. The first card I used the Balmy Blue still, but I also used Mossy Meadow for the grass. Whilst it looked really good, it was just a little bit dark, so for the second card, with it being a sort of younger card, I wanted it more of a softer look. So I'm going to get started and start stamping. So I have all my stamps already lined up on my block. So I've left them lined up on my block because I know exactly that they will fit on what I want to do for today. Obviously, if you were to do this, you could use any stamps of any set. You don't have to use these ones. So I'm using a piece of Whisper White card, which is 9 centimetres in height, and then I've just cut it off the bottom of an A4 page, so it is actually 21 centimetres wide at the moment. We will be cutting that down to use on a card if we have enough time today, but I just want to show you this technique because I absolutely loved doing it. Okay, so I'll bring in my first attempt, which I actually did the background first and then I stamped my images on top. So this was my first attempt using the brayer. I quite liked the background and I stamped the images on top, but then I thought I want to colour them in. I don't want them just like sort of invisible as it were. So that's how I came up with the masking technique. So for this, what I'm going to start by doing is stamping my images. I'm going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm just going to ink up my stamps. Okay, so I'm then just going to flip that over and line it up on my card. Let's go with about here. Plop that down and gently press. This would be a really good one to use for the Stamparatus as well, because if there's any problems inking up your stamps and getting a good image, you could stamp them exactly the same place using your Stamparatus, but I'm fairly happy with that layout, so that went well. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is using the Animal Friends framelits. So you can actually get these as a bundle, so you can get the stamp set and the framelits as a bundle and save yourself 10% of the price, which is a bargain. With the framelits, you actually get 7 pieces, 7 dies there, so you get one to cut out the giraffe, the kangaroo, the rhino and the tree with the frog. You also get an extra leaf branch, sort of giraffe print sort of background, and a leaf pattern as well. So all I did was I just cut out the 4 images just out of some scrap card, and these are the ones I actually used before, so I'm just going to use them again and again, because once you've got them you can use them as a guide and a template. I've just stuck some glue dots on the back, but I've made sure that they're just tacky, not super strong glue strength, because if you stick them down full strength they will rip your card if you try and peel them off. I learnt this by actually doing that. forgot one and then ripped my image, so started again. So yeah, these are just tacky glue dots, so I've just sort of used my finger just to take off the main stickiness, and then I'm just going to line them up over the top of my stamped images, so they are just held on with those glue dots just lightly, but they'll stay in the right place then, so they'll cover the stamped image. And what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to take this one off just for now, and this one, because I'm going to bring in the Tropical Chic stamp set as well, just to put a couple of leaves just in front of the giraffe, so it looks like it's poking out from behind something rather than just appearing in midair with no body, because we all know giraffes have got beautiful body. So I'm going to use the shaded spruce. Just ink that leaf up, and I'm going to stamp that just so it overlaps the bottom of my giraffe, and then I'll stamp off just underneath as well. And while we've got it going, I'm just going to add a couple in the other side as well. So maybe where my frog is. Really should have thought about this earlier. Another one on top. There you go, just so it looks like they're not coming out of nowhere. So now I can go ahead and lay those back over. And the best thing about the Tropical Chic stamp set is that it is also part of a bundle. So there are also framelits for it. So here's some I prepared earlier. See if I can line these up right. So again, I've just cut out the leaf shape that coordinates with the stamp, just so that I can line them up over the images that I've stamped today. And then I've just used a bit of washi tape just to hold those in place when there's more than one together. Bring some more in. Here's some I prepared earlier. It's that Blue Peter moment. There we go. So that's all ready for us to start doing the background. So we're actually doing the stamped images first, hiding them or masking them using the cutouts, and then we're going to bring in the colours that we want for the background. So I'm going to start with the... No, I'm not. I'm going to start with the soft sea foam, which we're going to do for the grass, with this being a slightly lighter colour. So I've just got my ink pad and my sponge brayer, and I'm just going to roll it over the top of the ink pad with quite a gentle pressure. You don't need much pressure on there at all, just so that it starts to pick up the colour. You can test it on your grid paper or scrap paper just to make sure it is coming up. I'm not sure if you can see that. You'll see it on the white, don't worry. Hi Bex, hi Joe, thank you for joining me. Hope you're both well. Okay, so I've got that inked up a bit, and I'm just going to roll it over my image. Now it'll take a little bit to build it up, so I'm just going to keep going. Now you don't have to put too much pressure on. Obviously the harder pressure you put on, the darker the colour will come out, but you don't want to really leave too many obvious lines, so you want to kind of just gently roll it all the way over the image, topping it up as you need to. So there we go, I think that'll do for now. Just going to roll that off on my scrap just so that I make sure I've got all the ink off. And then I'm going to use the same technique for the balmy blue for the sky. So again, just roll it over just so that you can see the ink picking up. You can see that it's kind of gone a different colour. I'm just going to check that's okay. And then we're just going to roll that over the top. Again, exactly the same. Don't have to put too much pressure on. Don't have to worry too much about it looking perfect. The fact that it gives that texture from the sponge actually makes it look more like a mottled sky rather than a solid image, but I quite like that. Obviously the more ink you put on your brayer, the stronger it will be. And then I'm just overlapping where the soft sea foam for the ground, just to blend it in a little bit. I think that will do. And then this is the moment of truth where we hope it all worked. So I can take my leaves off, and I can take my giraffe off, a kangaroo, rhino, leaves, and let's see if this will come off without me ripping. There we go, the frog and the branch. So then you've done your stamped image and you've done your background actually after you've stamped your images. What I love about using the cutouts is that it actually gives them the white outline, which really makes them stand out even more. And then what I did for my other cards is I used the blends to colour them in. So I'm going to quickly try and do that for you now. So the blends I used, I'm limited as to what I've got because I haven't got them all yet. I say yet, there's time. So I've got the Ivory and the bronze markers. They're actually really good for skin tones, but I'm going to use them on this card. And then I've got the Daffodil Delight in light and dark, so you can get that as a combo. And then again I've got the Old Olive in light and dark as well. So they're the only ink, blends that I'm going to be using to colour all of these images in. And I'm going to try and colour them without getting my head underneath the camera. So I'm going to start with the greens. So I'm going to do the darker colour first, and the tip with these is to work quickly because you want the ink to blend while it's still wet. So I'm using the darker ink first to pick up the shading and the more detail, and then I'm going to use the brush tip end of the light Old Olive just to blend those in. You can use either end, but I like the brush end better. So that's the leaves. I'm going to use the dark for the frog, just to do the shading on his legs and his belly. And then again, I'm just going to use the light just to blend that in. I don't know if you can see, I'll see if I can, I don't know if I can zoom in. Right, I'll lift it up so you can see. So that's the leaves and the frog just coloured in there, really quick. I'm going to use the bronze for the branch. So again, using the bullet tip marker end, just because it's a finer detail. Make it look like it's coming out of that tree over there. And then while I've got the bronze out, I'm going to use that for the giraffe as well. Now, because I've only got one brown, which is this bronze, to create the shading for the giraffe, all I'm going to do is just keep going over where I want the shading to be. So you can create the depth and dimension from just one colour of the blends. I suppose you don't need to have both, but when you have got both, you can get more of a contrast in there. What am I saying? Everybody needs to have both. You need both. And then I'm going to bring in the yellows to do the giraffe. So, let me think how I did this before. So I'm going to do it all using the light Daffodil Delight first. So you don't have to be really neat. They do go on very easily. There is actually a colour lifter as well, so if you do go out of the lines, you use the colour lifter just to pick the colour back up, and that is a lifesaver. So I'm just putting some touches of the dark Daffodil Delight in there, just so that we've got some shading. And then I'm going to go straight back over that with the light, just to blend it back into what's already down and gives a sort of cleaner finish. I think I'll do the little bird in yellow as well. Right, for the rhino and the kangaroo, I'm just going to use the ivory and the bronze. So I'm going to do the rhino first. So I'm literally just going to colour the rhino completely in ivory, so it's all the same colour. I'm not too worried about the detail at the moment. I'm just getting a solid colour all over him there. So this is when the brush end of the the markers are much better for sort of a larger area. And then just to get some detail in there, I'm just going to keep going over where the lines and the shading already is on the image. They do a lot of the hard work for you because they kind of show you where you need to add the shading to. I mean, I'm not great at putting shading in, so I'll just follow whatever lines I've already got. So there you have the rhino. What's that, Mark? Note to self, next shopping list. Yep, get this added to your shopping list and get some of these blends. They are absolutely amazing. Love them to pieces. Really good to colour with. They are alcohol markers, so you need to use the Memento ink, which is water-based, because you're using the alcohol markers. If you used a water-based ink, they would bleed with the ink from your image, so it wouldn't give you the quite as clean an image as you'd want from them. So always make sure you're using the right ink to go with whatever you're going to use to colour them in. And again, I'm just going to add some shading where I think it needs shading. Just again, following sort of where the image already has that shaded section. Where shall we go? And then you can just keep going over it just to get more colour on there and just to blend them in. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to use is the ivory, just for the kangaroo's pouch. I'm going to leave the koala as he is, just so that he pops out a little bit with a contrast, and also because I haven't got grey. You can use the blender pens and your inks if you haven't got all of the colours, but you have got the ink pads. They work just as well, but because I'm doing this, I'm just going to use the blends for now. So for the pouch, what I'm doing is I'm giving more shading sort of down to the bottom and the outside, just to make it seem like its pouch is stretched and full. So there you have it. One animal outing image from start to finish, using the masking technique, the sponge brayers and the blends. And I think that is pretty cool. So I've just noticed, you can just see that I've gone out of the lines on the horn, on the ossicone, sorry, of the giraffe. I'm not calling them horns anymore now that I know what they're called. So I'm just going to show you the colour lifter marker, which is another one of our stamping blends. Very professional, that looks. Thank you, Simon. Christine, I do love that rhino. He is a gorgeous little rhino, isn't he? I'll give you another close-up. Okay, so I'm just going to use the colour lifter just to try and pick up some of the yellow that has gone out of the lines. I'm not sure if it will show up on the camera, but we'll see. And there was a bit on there as well. Just let that work for a second. So I don't know if you can see that, but it has actually taken some of that colour off, so it's not as obvious that I've gone out of the lines, especially down there. Look, you can see that's come off pretty much completely. So that's a really good one. If you have got the blends, or if you do want the blends, I would recommend getting the colour lifter as well as an extra, just so that you can touch up any images that you've coloured in. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this, so I'm not going to put it on a card just yet, but for the first card that I did, I actually cut the image out using, if I can find it, the Puzzle Pieces Thinlits dies. Now this is again another bundle that you can get. It comes with a stamp set and the frames, but I've just used this puzzle die from the frames, and I just put that over the top of my image where I wanted it, run that through the Big Shot, and that cuts out this puzzle, which is absolutely adorable, and it just cuts out all of the pieces so you can make your own puzzle, and they do all go back together, I promise. It takes a while. It's a fun process. So if you've got a bit of time on your hands and you like puzzles, then it's a great one for you. When you've got the image already stamped on there, it will make it a hell of a lot easier to put it back together as well. That was just one I was trying out before. Another great thing to do if you are going to use the puzzle pieces is to stick that image onto some card using the adhesive backed multi-purpose adhesive sheets, because then if you stick it onto another sheet of card before you cut it out, it will actually be that slight bit thicker and more durable if you are going to use it as a puzzle. But there's some great techniques to be used for those as well. Again, all ages work really well. So I think that was everything I was going to show you today. So that is the masking technique using the Animal Outing stamp set and sponge brayer. I hope you have enjoyed that. If there is still time in July to shop with me and use our hostess code for July. There will be a new one generated on Wednesday for the 1st of August, when we actually have an exclusive stamp set and frames that you'll be able to purchase, which is limited for August only. So do check out my page for information of that when it comes live. And I will be setting up some card making classes. If you're local to Chesterfield or Duckmanton and would like to come along and have a go at making something like this and putting it onto a card, you'd be very welcome. The classes will be Tuesday evenings on the 2nd and the last Tuesday of every month. If you are interested, send me a message and I'll send you all the details for those as well. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you again in 2 weeks' time. Take care.